In this video, we're going to talk about how to completely eliminate that weak part that you've got within you. That weak part within you that doesn't allow you to take consistent action, that doesn't allow you to show up as the person that you would love to show up as, that doesn't allow you to feel powerful and strong within. We're going to obliterate that weak part so that you can start living more congruently with your true potential, with the true version of yourself that you know you're capable of becoming. So listen very carefully to what I'm going to say during the video. Most people are controlled by that weak part within themselves. Most people are weak. Most people are weak. They're weak emotionally, they're weak mentally. For example, I see some people that get offended by the way I might speak when I say some swear words like fuck. Okay, I say fucking, fuck, whatever, right? And people get offended by that. So if you're so weak that you get offended by that, that's just simply ridiculous. Because if you get offended by words emotionally, that means that you're extremely weak. And if you get offended by words, then you're not prepared to unleash your potential. You're not prepared to go through uncertain times. You're not prepared to deal with pressure and deal with the unknown and deal with chaos. Because you get offended by some word offends you. That shows how weak you are inside. But that's the problem with most people. Most people are weak. And because they're weak, they quit. They start one week taking action consistently, then the next week, the following week, they quit. Because they feel tired, or because they feel sad, or because something happened in their life, therefore they quit. And if you quit because of how you feel or because something bad happened in your life, then that shows how weak you are. As Dan Pena used to say, and says still, he's still alive thanks to God, we all have two bank accounts in life. We have a financial bank account, but we also have an emotional bank account. And the problem with most people is that their emotional bank account is lacking. It's very weak. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to eliminate that weak part within you so that you start feeling powerful to go and conquer what you want to go and conquer. So that you can start making actual true progress in your life and stop being in the same exact place year after year. Most people are controlled by that weak part within them. Most people think, talk, act like the weak version of themselves. And then they ask themselves, why do I feel weak? Why does the weaker version of myself control my actions and control what I do, my decisions, what I do on a daily basis? Because you're operating from that weak identity, because you're conditioned to being weak. For many reasons, and we're going to go or get into detail into some of these reasons during this video, but stick until the end of the video, because you will learn a lot and you will have a lot more clarity as to how to eliminate that weak part of yourself. Most people think that because they've been conditioned to being weak, that they're weak. It's the same thing. I have some people that come to me and say, Miguel, I don't have confidence. But that's not the truth. And you might say, well, I don't feel confident. Well, you're generalizing, because you're extremely confident when you're speaking to your mom. You're extremely confident when you're speaking to your best friend. You're extremely confident when you're playing your fucking video games. But you might not be confident when speaking publicly, when doing having a meeting with the bank or something like that. You might not feel confident with that, but you have the confidence within you. Because if not, you wouldn't even be confident with your mom. Okay? So, because you've shown yourself up until now that you're weak, it doesn't mean that you are weak. It means that you've been trained to be weak, to show up as a weaker version of yourself. You've been trained to allow that weaker version of yourself, that weakness that we all got within us, to control your everyday decisions, actions, thoughts. And because you've been trained to show yourself that you're weak, then you now believe that you're weak. And therefore you click on a video to eliminate that weakness. But let me tell you, this is important. There's the duality in this life, in this world. We all have weakness within, but we all have greatness within as well. The problem is that most people lean onto the weak side instead of leaning onto the greatness side. For example, a person that goes to war, a man that goes to war, he's brave. He goes to war. He knows that he might die. He knows that he might not come back to see his family. He's got fear, obviously. He feels fear. He has doubts. He has limiting thoughts that might pop up from time to time. But still, he acts like a brave man because he thinks he's brave and he acts like a brave man. Therefore, we all have that weak side inside of ourselves, but we need to start training ourselves to listen to the great side within us, that side of greatness, that side of strength, that side of power that we all got within ourselves. You are in this video because you want to operate from that certainty, from that power, from that strength, rather than still operate from that weakness, which is ridiculous. Because you know, honestly, and I know I'm talking to people that know they're capable of more, of achieving more, of being more, but by listening to your weak side day by day, you're never going to surmount to anything. You're never going to reach those next levels that you want to reach. You're never going to become the person that you truly want to become. And that's the truth. So the first step to eliminate that weakness within, then we'll see a little mindset shift that you need to make to understand this further. But first point is very simple. You need to be aware of that weak part of yourself. Most people are not aware enough. They're not conscious enough. They're not aware. Therefore, when they think a limiting thought, or they have a doubt, or they have a fear, they automatically react to that fear or to that thought because they think that they are that thought or that emotion. But you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are awareness. You are the observer. You are the person that observes the feelings that you have, the thoughts that might pop up, but you are not that. So the first step is very simple. Be aware. You need to create this separation between what you think and what you feel and you, who are you truly? You are awareness. You are the observer. Okay? Most people live life through everything they feel, everything they think that comes from the past, and therefore they don't understand that they're victims to life. They're victims to themselves. So the first step is very simple. Be aware. Be aware that we all have two voices in our head. We have the voice of weakness, but we also have the voice of greatness. If you're in this video and you're watching this video, you know that you have the voice of weakness, obviously, but you also have the voice of greatness, because if not, you wouldn't be watching this video. You're watching this video because you know that you're capable of more. There's some sort of voice inside your head that's telling you that you're capable of more. You're capable of achieving more. You're capable of doing more. You're capable of being more. So we all have those two voices in our head. And this is like a scale, all right? The side of the scale with the most weight, with the most amount of weight, is the side that has the most weight, right? It's the same with the two voices that we all have inside our heads. We have the voice of weakness, but we also have the voice of greatness. Which voice do you train? Which one do you train on a day-to-day basis? What voice do you listen on a day-to-day basis? Because most people, they want to feel powerful, but they are operating through that voice of weakness on a day-to-day basis. Therefore, the weakness gains more weight. And as it gains more weight, that becomes your fucking reality, who you become. Because you're not aware enough to create that separation and ask yourself, okay, I might have this thought of, oh, you're not good enough, or don't do this to now, you're weak, I can't be bothered to do this right now. You need to be aware of that voice and choose. This is very important. We have the freedom to choose what voice do we listen to. So be aware of both voices that we have in our head, and start listening to the voice of greatness rather than the voice of weakness. And if on a day-to-day basis you start training yourself to listen to that voice of greatness, then you will start feeling more powerful within, and you will start acting more powerfully, and you will start making more progress in your life. Because just by the simple fact of being aware of these both voices that we all have inside, we all have within, and deciding, choosing to listen to the voice of greatness rather than the voice of weakness. So a brave man that goes to war also has fear. So the voice of weakness appears like, don't go, you might get killed. But he listens to the voice of greatness. I'm a brave man. I'm going to take action. I'm going to go to war. I'm going to kill the fucking enemy. I'm going to conquer. I'm going to show my true power, whatever it might be, you know? So start training yourself to listen to the voice of greatness and start training yourself to operate from that voice of greatness. You don't feel like doing this right now, taking this action, going to the gym or whatever, and you don't do it, then you're listening to the voice of fucking weakness. Then there's no surprise that you feel weak inside, and there's no surprise that that voice of weakness controls your everyday decisions. So that's the first point, okay? Now I'm going to talk about a little bit about the mindset shift that you need to make. This is very important. Most people try to eliminate how they feel. They try to eliminate, I don't like to feel this way. How do I eliminate it? But they don't understand that if you want to eliminate something, it's a form of resistance. And what you resist persists. So by the simple fact of saying, I want to eliminate this, you say, I want to eliminate this. But the profound focus, the deeper focus that you have is, this controls me. This is why I want to eliminate it. And that's why you keep on having that weakness or those emotions that you now want to eliminate coming back to haunt you. Because you don't eliminate how you feel. This is very important. You don't eliminate how you feel. I know the title of the video, how to eliminate the fucking weakness within you. Like, we can reduce it, but there's no such thing as eliminating it. Even the strongest people mentally still have that voice of weakness that show up. Even David Goggins has that voice of weakness within himself. But he's learned to observe it, don't react to it, accept it, but don't listen to it. He's learned to operate from strength and from power rather than being reactive towards that voice of weakness. Imagine David Goggins saying, how do I eliminate this voice of weakness? How do I eliminate it? No. His mind is stronger than his feelings. His mind is stronger than that voice of fucking weakness that he has inside of him, that we all have within. So train yourself to operate again from that strength, from that power, and don't try to eliminate how you feel, because that's a form of resistance. And again, what you resist persists. If you try to eliminate how you feel, you will keep on feeling the exact same way. So ask yourself, how would the person that I want to be, that isn't controlled by that voice of weakness or by those emotions, how would that person think about this? How would he handle this situation? He would accept how he feels. It's natural to feel fear, to feel doubts, to have limiting thoughts pop up. You know, it's natural. We all have them. But then how do you respond to that? That's the difference. That's the difference. And that's a question that you should ask yourself to gain clarity as to how you should respond to those situations, so that you give yourself permission to start operating from that stronger, more powerful version of yourself, let's say. This is very important. That weak part within you controls you, because that's what you demonstrate to yourself on a day-to-day basis. The weakness within you controls you because you demonstrate yourself on a day-to-day basis that you are a weak individual. So what I've worked throughout the last 7 years with all my clients is identity level change, which is the most powerful level of change there is out there, basically. Is the type of change that gives people the most profound changes, both internally and externally, in their results and their performance. So most people feel that weakness within, and they don't understand that they feel that weakness, and that weakness controls them, because what they've shown to themselves throughout the years, or maybe throughout the last couple months or last months or even last week, most people show themselves that they are the type of person that's weak. The way you speak, the way you think, the way you act, the way you behave shows to yourself that you are weak. You demonstrate to yourself that you are weak. And if you demonstrate to yourself that you are a certain type of individual, in this case weak, then there's no surprise that you will feel that weakness within, and that you will continue to operate from that weakness. So identity is the most important thing. You see yourself as a weak individual, and therefore you act like a weak individual. You live your life like a weak individual. If you see yourself as a bad communicator, you will communicate like shit. For example, when I started doing these YouTube videos in English, I saw myself as a shit communicator in English. But right now, even though I don't communicate to my fullest capabilities and abilities, I started seeing myself as an amazing communicator in English too. I have a YouTube channel in Spanish with more than 150,000 subscribers. I communicate amazingly well in Spanish, but in English I find it a little bit more hard. But that doesn't stop me from recording these videos and from seeing myself the way I want to see myself. I started seeing myself as a good communicator in English, that I'm capable of communicating and persuading people to take action, to inspire people, to show my mental models, mental frameworks that are going to help you get to those next levels, both of transformation and results and performance. So operate from a different identity. You're never gonna surpass how you see yourself. You're never gonna feel strong if you see yourself as weak. You're never gonna communicate well if you see yourself as a shit communicator. You're never gonna be or seduce any woman if you see yourself as an unattractive introvert, for example. So start seeing yourself as the person that you want to become. Stop seeing yourself as weak. Most people try to change the following way. I'm weak, how do I become strong? Well, if you keep on seeing yourself as weak, you're never going to become internally strong or internally powerful. You need to start shifting the way you see yourself regardless of how you feel. Most people try to change how they feel first so that then they believe, now I'm this person. But it's the other way around. You start thinking you're that person. You start acting like that person on a day-to-day basis, and that will make you feel like that person. Stop waiting to feel something different in order to change how you think about yourself or how you view yourself. You can start choosing from right now, from this instance, how you want to see yourself. So start seeing yourself as a powerful individual, not like a weak, miserable cunt. Again, if the way I speak offends you, then, as Dan Peña would say, blame your parents for raising a fucking pussy. Literally. Because then if words offend you and you want to be powerful and strong within, you're never going to be powerful and strong within if a simple word offends you, or a simple swear word offends you. Another reason you're not strong, you don't feel powerful, and the weakness is the one that's controlling you, basically, is because you don't go through uncomfortable situations. You don't step outside your comfort zone regularly. When you step outside your comfort zone, you will feel uncomfortable because it's not your comfort zone. It's your zone of being uncomfortable. It's the unknown. You're not used to being outside of your comfort zone regularly on a day-to-day basis. And the problem with most people is that when they feel weak, when they feel uncomfortable, they quit. They step back. And that's the problem. If you want to truly develop that strength and that power within, you should start feeling comfortable in the unknown. You should start feeling comfortable in the uncomfortable. But if every time that you feel uncomfortable, you fucking quit and you step back, and you go back to watching content and looking for strategies or techniques so that you feel strong, you're never going to feel strong. You're never going to feel powerful. You need to understand that in order to truly reduce the power or the grip that weak voice has on you, you need to start showing yourself that you have the power, not that weak voice. So the next time that you feel uncomfortable, stay there. The next time that you have to do a difficult task that's outside of your comfort zone, fucking do it. Don't be a pussy. This is the truth. Don't be a fucking coward. Most people are cowards and they're like, I'm a coward, but I want to be strong. How can I be strong? I'm powerful. I'm brave. Start being that type of person. Start showing to yourself that you're that type of person on a day-to-day basis. When was the last time you did something scary? When was the last time you went through fucking resistance or the unknown or through uncomfortable terrain? When was the last time you did those things? Because most people try to develop that power within them by staying on their couch watching a movie or Netflix every fucking day. There's no fucking way you're gonna develop and transform yourself and reduce that grip that the weak voice has on you. There's no way you're gonna do it if you don't go through difficult situations, hard situations, uncomfortable situations. So it's very important that you expose yourself even voluntarily to these types of situations and go through them like a powerful individual. And that will show to yourself that you're the type of person. And then the weak thoughts, the weak or limiting emotions or sensations that you might feel won't have as much control on you as they have right now. Very important. And another very important thing why you feel weak, and this is one of the main reasons also that you feel weak, It's because you don't keep promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, and you don't do it because of the way you feel. You say you're going to go to the gym, but then you don't feel like going to the gym and you don't go. You say that you're going to start a YouTube channel, but then you don't start it because you have fear. You say you're going to start that business, but you don't start it because you fear what other people might think of you. Oh, so you say you're going to do things, but then you don't do them. Therefore, you don't keep promises to yourself. You don't trust yourself. Therefore, the weak part of yourself is the one in control, not the strong and powerful part of yourself. The strong and powerful part of yourself isn't in control because you don't choose for it to be in control. Because every time you say you're going to do something, you don't do it. So you are a fraud to yourself. You see yourself as a fraud in your own eyes. That's why you think you're an imposter and all those types of things. Not only, obviously, that's not the only reason. Mentally, the mental game plays a big part, and that's why I specialize on the mental game, on the mindset shifts that people need in order to perform better, to get rid of those blocks that they might be having, you know? So the mental part is incredibly important, but also trusting yourself is extremely important. Because if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust your word, if you say you're going to do something but then you don't do it and you're not able to keep promises to yourself, then how are you going to have confidence? How are you going to trust yourself? How are you going to have self-esteem? You don't. And that's why if you're not able to do what you say you're going to do, you're never going to control your mind. You're never going to become the person that you want to become, and you're never going to make progress. You're never going to reach those next levels that you want to reach in your life. So start doing what you say you're going to do. This is very fucking important, because when you don't do what you say you're going to do, then those negative thoughts, those limiting thoughts and emotions will cripple you, will haunt you, will be going after you all the time, because again, that weak side of you has more weight. And every decision that you make or don't make, when you don't trust your word, when you don't keep promises to yourself, you're adding more weight to that weak side of yourself. This is important. And to finish the video, a very important summary, simple summary of what you should do so that you eliminate or reduce the grip those limiting negative thoughts and emotions have on you, that weak side of you has on you. You need to start thinking and acting like someone powerful. Again, most people try to change and be strong and powerful within by thinking and acting like a weak, miserable piece of shit. Like a mediocre human being, like a weak person. And if you think like a weak person and you act like a weak person, then there's no doubt that you're going to feel that weakness, and that weakness is going to control you. So start thinking like a powerful person, start acting like a powerful person, start thinking like a brave person, start acting like a brave person, and then that weakness within won't control you as much. But you need to have consistency doing this. It's no good that you are 1 week locked in, then you lose the motivation and you go back to your old self, and then you go back to your new self, then you go back to your old self. You're not going to make progress like that. You're not going to transform yourself like that. You're not going to eliminate or reduce that weakness within. So start acting and thinking like a powerful person. And again, don't wait until you feel different to start thinking and acting differently. You need to start acting and thinking different. Therefore, that will lead to you feeling different. Does that make sense? Coffee break. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you found value out of what I said. Again, if you want to develop that power within, if you want to stop that fear, that doubt, those doubts, that weakness within controlling you, if you want to stop that from controlling you, subscribe to this channel. If you want to become all you can be all you can be, and develop that powerful version of yourself, that powerful identity that will unlock new levels of confidence, performance, purpose, and results, subscribe to this channel. This is the best place for high performance looking to grow further, both internally and externally. So see you guys on the next video. Hope you found value out of this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, what made a mental shift on you, and I will read your comments. So see you on the next one. Take care. Let's win the fucking day. No time to waste. No excuses. No weakness. Be greater than your emotions. Be greater than your environment. Be greater than external problems. You have the power. So prove it to yourself. Show it to yourself. Let's win the day. Let's go.